that channel.
So you are talking about the moral aspect.
The moral aspect.
I'm talking about the legal aspect. That's the discrepancy.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
You say morality, right, and legality, they are very parallel when it comes to governance. Yes. What I'm saying here is there is a law, and the law prescribes or lays down procedures to be followed.
Because the other
and when those procedures are not followed,
the other thing that I'm worried about, by the way that the previous anti-corruption commissioner was fired, was more or less a signal to let the world know that the current anti-corruption commissioner has no protection. Because in other words,
you're right.
In other words, the law that's supposed to protect you has been violated and can be violated by at any time.
Right.
So, which means there are two things that makes an anti-corruption commissioner successful or not. One, the extent at which he has the political will of the leadership to give him the opening and the freedom to do as he likes in getting rid of corruption. Two, the extent at which he is willing to compromise his integrity. Now, I can't speak of the first so far, but I can speak of the second because I know the man personally. Morally, ethically, I can vouch for it.
Okay, well, let's go to the speaker. How the speaker was actually made speaker. Can you say something about that?
Yes, I can say something about that. And you see, it is a situation wherein there are different factions involved in this process, but each one has something to lose and the other has something to give. I will give you examples. The Constitution says for somebody to be speaker, you do not necessarily have to be a member of parliament.
Right.
But they can choose anybody from the members of parliament.
Right.
But if you are chosen outside from the House of Parliament to be speaker, like in this case, you must be somebody who is qualified to be a member of parliament.
Right.
So you must meet all the requirements of being a member of parliament.
Right.
And in the requirement of being a member of parliament, if you have a criminal record, a felony against you,
right,
you're not qualified
to be.
And we all know it is open secret,
right,
that the current speaker has a felony against him. He has a charge. In fact, he still has to pay those fines to the government. I don't think he's finished paying all the money. So that is hanging over him. Some may say, oh, it was politically motivated. Yes, but, you know, come on now. The records are there. So, the question is, why did the other parliamentarians allow it to happen?
Okay, let me answer that question.
Yes.
Yes, I have seen something to me that is very unprecedented in the world of Sierra Leone Parliament. For the first time in the history of Sierra Leone, I saw police officers coming to the well of Parliament and dragging parliamentarians, right, from Parliament. That was internationally condemned. Right. So how can you drag somebody from Parliament and you want that person to participate? In fact, people said that was a gimmick, right, to make sure that they were not there so that they would not bulldoze their way and make that guy the speaker. I believe in that because Parliament is there for disagreements. Parliament is there where you agree to disagree. You know, we have seen that so many times.
Our constitution, if you read it, I am not a lawyer by profession. So despite I'm quoting all of these legal terms, it's because I'm widely read. I read a lot of stuff. So that's why I'm able to do that. But if you read our constitution, you don't need to be a lawyer to know that there are certain loopholes within that constitution. They did a good job, but the problem with the constitution was the fact that some of the framers who were given the task and responsibility to define how we are governed, define the powers of the different branches of government, had a conflict of interest in the sense that they were involved in the process of framing how the system of governance and the different powers of the different branches will be defined, but they were interested in taking over the executive branch. So what happened? They gave quite a good number of leeway and opening and gave power to the executive branch. One, to find a way to control the legislature and also have a way to control the judiciary. Those loopholes do exist, but it is a very fine constitution compared to what existed before them. So I'm not trying to decry them, but there are still certain areas that need to be fine-tuned.
Yeah, because
now in relation to the election of the Speaker of Parliament, there are also areas where in the number of votes needs to meet a certain threshold.
Right.
SLPP did not have that number of votes to meet that threshold to elect the speaker. But because there were people within the House of Parliament that were APC members who themselves by law, by that very constitution, do not qualify to become members of Parliament, by the fact that they did not qualify to be parliamentarians when they ran for members of Parliament, makes it hard for the APC to challenge them. So what I think may have happened was that, okay, we know say so much number of you parliamentarians we can petition them, kick them out of Parliament. If you challenge we speaker, we know we speaker not qualify. You know, they are saying that we know our speaker is not qualified by this very constitution, but you two have breached the constitution. If you don't allow our speaker, we're going to petition you guys. So APC say,
that is corruption.
No, that's corruption.
Right. So no, what I'm trying to say here is, you see, Mr. Suma is very interesting. You see, you cannot put the cart before the horse.
That is true.
If you think these people are not eligible to be parliamentarians, we have a legal process. Seek redress through the court.
Guess what?
Unseat them.
Yes, but guess what?
They can even have a speaker.
When you
unseat them.
We have other political parties in the country. They have that leeway, that avenue open to them. They can petition those 19 or 20 or so many number of APC parliamentarians and take the matter to court. They can also petition the speaker because the constitution is clear. It is written in black and white. It's not written in Chinese. It's written in English. At least we all went to school to read it. So it's clear. You don't need to be a lawyer to understand. So because of those flaws are there. But that is why we need fighters. We need people that are prepared to fight.
Right.
Because this is a fight.
Right.
That is not an easy fight. We must be honest with ourselves.
Remember, Johi says, you alone? Johi says, you alone? Remember, he was talking about corruption. He sang a very good song about corruption.
Oh, Joe Hills.
Yes, and he said, you alone. That means we need a collective effort to actually eradicate corruption. But
that
again,
is the key.
Let me come to a very important question about the dual citizenship. Yes, the TUSIM. I want your opinion about that.
The TUSIM.
Right.
In fact, it's good you brought that up because there are moves within the House of Parliament now to fix that problem. But I don't want them to fix the problem and create another problem. It's very important. Now, our constitution says that if you have dual citizenship during the time you are vying for the House of Parliament, you are not qualified to become a member of Parliament. That is discriminatory when you consider the current dynamics of world history. The fact that we've experienced 10 years of war that forced quite a good number of us out. It is obvious that if you want to be able to survive outside your country, you have to be able to, assimilate yourself with the other cultures and people that your host country.
You're right.
So in that case, if they're giving you opportunity like that, you should take it. And that does not mean you don't like your country. But one of the things that I think was in the mind of the framers of the Constitution is for us not to expose ourselves to the likelihood of foreigners who may come and naturalize in Sierra Leone, but may necessarily not have allegiance to the sovereignty of our country, taking over our legal system, our judicial system, our legislative house, and perhaps our government itself. So because of that, they included the clause of barring somebody from qualifying as a member of
No,
parliament.
you're right.
So, which means when we are fixing the problem, we should be mindful of that particular element for which that actually prompted the framers of the Constitution to include that clause. So, in my opinion, in fixing that problem, if you are a natural born Sierra Leonean, you should qualify to be a member of parliament irrespective of whether you have a dual citizenship.
Yeah, when did this law actually came into existence, into practice?
1991.
No, what I'm saying, when was it actually implemented and why?
Oh, and Eskroma have been breaching it for 9 years. All of a sudden, in the 10th year,
it's not only an Eskroma. Even Kaba, in the Kaba government, there are people who had dual citizenship.
That is true.
Yeah, even before Kaba.
That is true.
Right.
That's yes. So it was being.
So the question is, why was it actually implemented last year?
Well,
not previous years.
It was being used as a tool in politics to fight the other opponents.
Do you look at that as corruption?
Of course, it is corruption, obviously. But when you talk about corruption, the name Aneskroma is synonymous to corruption. So anything he does, you shouldn't expect anything otherwise.
Okay. Let me ask you another question. During the campaign, there were accusations. I remember during the presidential debate, Dr. Samura Wilson Kamara accused the present president of swindling $18 million. Right. And during the campaign as well, the learned Charles Magai, in the view of the whole world, right, accused the current president of embezzling $45 million. Right. And we know that the president was also implicated in the sale of passports.
Yes.
Right. And there is this cloud that's hanging over his head. And now he has become the
president,
the prosecutor of people who they allege are involved in corruption. How do you really compromise those states?
Well, it's a good point you raise. But guess what? President Marabio, is not the one to go report himself to police, come arrest me, prosecute me, and put me in jail because I stole $18 million. We had an Eskroma in power for 10 years. He did not do that. And Bio cannot go and say, oh, I stole $18 million. And because he has allegedly stolen $18 million because it's an allegation, that does not mean he cannot change to now think about changing that image about himself. Just like everybody knows, he has been a brute before. He has killed people before. He has been a junta leader before. So we know that of his image. So those are the two things that cloud his image. Being a junta fighter that has killed people before, especially summary execution. We know about that. We know about this embezzlement. But people are liable to change.
Well, what about those who are accused presently? They are also liable to change.
No. The ones that they accuse, there has to be a stop somewhere. Somebody has to step in.
That is selective.
No, it's not selective. That's a good point. It's not selective in the sense that these people knew for 10 years. They knew that people do not want corruption in this country. For 10 years, we preach against corruption. For 10 years, they had the opportunity to prosecute Bio and others. For 10 years, they had an opportunity to put an end to corruption. And Eskroma was corrupt within the first 5 years. We gave him the benefit of the doubt. I personally campaigned for an Eskroma, went out on social media, bombarded this and that, did everything, even paid donation, I think was $200 or $300. Small money, but hey, it made a difference. It was my money that I could have given to my kids during the 2012 election to elect him because I was hoping that he was going to be a reform person that is going to help transform the country within the second 5 years. Thinking that I said, oh, maybe he was beholden to his party within the first 5 years, but this next 5 years being his last term, he's not going to be beholden to his party. He's going to be a statesman. Oh, below. That's when he cranked up the corruption, whatever. So in this case, this guy's level of corruption is treason. It's economic treason. Okay. And somebody has to go after them. Okay. If Bio choose to do that, I'm with them.
My only concern here is if you calculate the sum of what the current president is accused of embezzling 18 million, 45 million. The passport is almost over 70 million. That is almost half of 80% of what these people who are currently being crucified by public opinion.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
These people are allegedly swindled.
I like that
about a billion.
Allegedly, but
even Bill is allegedly.
They are already crucified by public opinion.
Yes, because the people suffered 10 years under them.
I remember
Bio became
did his when the country was at war.
Yes,
That
but
was
the point,
serious.
I understand that. I am not here being an apologist for Bio. I have been one of the biggest critics. But what I'm saying, as long as when it comes to the fight of corruption, we need to support them. We need to go after these guys to set an example. Because you know why? I believe if they do what they are claiming to want to do, they go after these guys and make sure they... You see me, I'm not interested in an Eskroma going to jail. I'm not interested in Alpha Khan going to jail. I'm not interested in any of these guys going to jail, like except maybe Victor Fo, because he's been in it for like 50 years. He never changed until the last day he came out of power. So maybe that one needs to go to jail. But all the rest, I'm not interested in them going to jail. All I'm interested in, the millions that they've sent out of the country. If they can choose voluntarily, they say, hey, Pabio, do you not prosecute me? Look 10 million, look $20 million, look $50 million, why we don't thief today? Believe me, I will go out there and plead for them. Don't prosecute them. Let's use that money, build schools, build hospitals, pay scholarship for kids, make our economy vamp, give business loans to businesses so we're able to transform our country. That's all I care about. The money. If they can sell their houses, the 100 million that they signed from Sarah Rutai, if they can bring that money back, I'm not care about. They shouldn't go to jail.
You're right. But
that's what I'm
saying is, I'm somebody. I'm a little bit biblically inclined. I remember when they were trying to stone the lady who committed adultery, and Jesus says, "If you think, yes, you are a saint because you have not done something like that before, take a stone and and stone her." They all went away. Yes, and the same thing I believe in. If you have a speck in your eyes, how can you go to take a speck from somebody's eyes?
But let me ask you a question.
Right.
Let me ask you.
You have Abbas Bundu in this government.
Do you think those who prosecute corruption in America are not corrupt?
You're right. They are corrupt.
Exactly.
No, but there's no evidence.
So you cannot use that.
There's no evidence. You may say, but there's no evidence.
Well, similarly, there is no evidence. You can say that such and such a person, because nobody has prosecuted them. So as long as nobody has prosecuted them,
that's why
nobody
I use the word
prosecuted
public opinion.
Exactly. Well, since it's public opinion, let us at least support the step that is taking the legal aspect in addressing, in putting some concrete
but there's not been any legal process yet.
Well, they're working on it.
Yeah,
they're working on it.
Okay.
They're working on it. So all I'm saying is,
according to the Constitution of Sierra Leone, yes, you are presumed innocent until you are found guilty.
Guilty, exactly.
Right.
So right now, they are innocent, but they are being accused, or at least from public opinion, and from those of us that have been monitoring them. If they ask me within let me don't be too overambitious. Within 90 days, I can sniff out where these guys have their bank account. Just one law, one particular law, one single section within the constitution, within the laws of Sierra Leone, within that corruption law, is enough to lock all of them up. Unexplained wealth. Unexplained wealth. Just take all the per diem, give it to them. All the salaries, give it to them. Even take 10% of the government budget, give it to them. You will still find 10 times the amount of money they have now, more than that. That these guys have siphoned out of the system. $1 billion. No,
you're right.
Based on my estimate. That is treason.
You're right.
Even Seka Stephen did not steal $1 billion.
You're right.
Seka Stephen, who is the godfather of the APC, who created the concept of system of corruption in Sierra Leone, did not steal $1 billion. And Eskroma and his kingpin stole over $1 billion from Sierra Leone over 10 years.
No, what I'm saying is, one thing I'm very impressed about what is going on is there is a political precedent being set.
Thank you. That's the precedent we need to support.
Yes.
So once they set that precedent, nobody has done it in this way.
My question is, I hope it is going to be sustained.
Yes, it's going to be sustained.
Irrespective of interest,
Yes.
Irrespective of political affiliation.
Because guess what?
Irrespective of family affiliation. Because
Yes.
I know. Right. I remember, yes, when the NPLC came into power, they said, oh, we are anti-corruption, anti-this. But they ended up being the most corrupt institution in this country.
But that's why they failed.
Yes.
That's
so
why
that's
they
what I'm
failed.
saying. I'm very apprehensive when these things come with gimmicks, with flamboyance, whatever. Right.
Well,
we're all attracted.
I like to give people the benefit of the doubt.
Okay.
That's why I gave an
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's why.
is-
Let me just make this point. That's why I gave an Nkrumah the benefit of the doubt, despite the fact that I knew he was corrupt when he got elected. He was elected in a corrupt process in APC to be the flag bearer in 2007. And the process, the way he ran the government for 5 years was element of corruption. But I gave him the benefit of the doubt. I said perhaps he was beholden to his party because he needed them for him to survive another 5 years. And he survived another 5 years. That's why I gave him the benefit of the doubt. Campaigned for him in 2012 just so that we could get him elected. Because all I need, I don't care who leads Sierra Leone. All I need, the right person to lead Sierra Leone to fix the problem.
I know the right person.
Now, I know the right person too.
Yeah.
That's why I campaigned for him. Unfortunately, the same Nkrumah's corruption stopped our people, denied our people the right, the opportunity for them to run the affairs of our country. Other than Dr. Kane Yomukela, there is nobody else in that country that I believe can run that country than I do. I think I am one of the best.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that.
But because of the situation, because of Nkrumah denied our people the opportunity to have somebody as brilliant, smart, like forget about smartness, forget about being bright, forget about all the degrees.
Talk about the right.
The integrity of the person.
Right.
That has a very clean record. That if we had somebody like that as our president, oh my good gracious, like within 100 days, Sierra Leone will have been, the transformation would have started seeing it
I'm telling
right
you.
now.
Yeah, I endorse that.
But again, I blame it on Nkrumah.
I endorse that message.
He's the one that denied the people of Sierra Leone the opportunity to have the right leadership that they have. So now that they have given us somebody he never expected to be, let's support him and see that he goes after Nkrumah and all his cronies. So, okay. Any more questions? Now, there are other aspects about corruption I wanted to touch on. Let's be honest with ourselves. If a man's survival is on the line, it will be difficult to expect that man not to be corrupt. If you bring... I always like to make reference to Pope John Paul because this other one I hardly know how to pronounce his name. The one, the Pope that is in Rome now.
Okay, President Pope. I don't even.
Yeah, so Pope John Paul is easily to remember. If you bring Pope John Paul into life and bring him to Sierra Leone, and Pope John Paul is working as a clerk, a permanent secretary, he has a house rent to pay. He has kids to feed. He has wife to take care of. He has to worry about his transportation to go back and forth. He has to worry about his clothing. He has to worry about the basic amenities of life. I mean, basic things that he needs to survive. And yet his salary cannot even pay his rent. And that Pope John Paul is sitting down in an office playing 2 billion, 10 billion, 15 billion, 20 billion.
No, there is an addendum to that. You see, if you look at Sierra Leone is very rich in natural resources. And our natural resources are not harnessed. And if we're harnessed, they are not utilized in good faith to actually promote the socio-economic development of the country. I remember when I was little, for you to go to Kono or Tongo, right, you have to take what? Permit. Senator? Well, little, yes. For you, they were protected areas. Yes. Now you go to Kono and Tongo. What is happening there? Everybody is mining. Go to Botswana and see. Yes. You cannot go and mine in Botswana like that. Yes. And Sierra Leone had diamonds even before Botswana.
That's another subject of discussion.
Yes.
I have a vast area tons of opinions on the area of mining. But I don't think we have much time for that right now.
So what I'm saying right now is, you see, somebody play with billions of dollars and is paid 200,000 leones or whatsoever. He's paid that 200,000 leos to play with that billion.
Oh, another somebody just mentioned says the guy that was involved in the Nassit embezzlement of the ferry fund, that if I think that ferry ended up killing some people, there was some accident happened with the ferry or something of the sort, but they brought in old ferries. The person was rewarded to become the financial secretary of the country. That is exactly how Ernest Koroma used to run his system.
What about Prince Harden, who was involved in a whole helicopter, and people crashed, and how many people died? Now he's what? It's the same thing. It's a vicious cycle.
Exactly.
Yes.
Well,
it's a vicious cycle.
That is good. At least somebody among them.
Kaba had to dismiss him, fire him.
Yes. Thank God somebody among them is now at least taking the bold step. Obviously, wait. Let me ask you this question: Are you saying that the current government, because they have corrupt elements within them, people with shady background, we know them, and that's why the issue is troublesome to some of us, because some of them have shady background, so which means they should not do anything about corruption.
Okay,
they should sit by
let me answer that
as
question.
long as they don't get corrupted, but they shouldn't go after corruption and wait for another government that has no shady background.
Let me answer that question.
I don't have that five years of patience.
You have been in America for quite some time now.
Yes.
You know when you apply for a job, they do what? A background check.
Yeah.
Is that not so?
Yes.
And that determines your acceptance or your refusal.
Yes.
Right. So I believe that if somebody is there to fight corruption, he should not be corrupt. That's my belief.
Absolutely.
Right. He should not be corrupt.
But that does not mean that because you are corrupt in the past.
The propensity for you to be corrupt and continue to be corrupt is very, that's
of course it's high.
Right.
But that propensity also have a narrow margin for that this person is possible, that this person is ready to be a statesman, is ready to transform, is ready to change, is ready to clear all his cloud and prove himself right and taking advantage of the opportunity he has. You cannot say you're not going to give them another opportunity.
Well, that's why I always write on my Facebook, let with the good no more.
Exactly.
That's very important. That means, yes.
Because you see me here.
We are
progressive.
We are here looking at what is happening right now.
Just like Ernest Koroma, when he betrayed my trust, I went after him. It's the same way. If these guys betrayed our trust, we're going to go after them. Believe me, the people of Sierra Leone are capable of changing. 2023 is coming.
Of course, that is for NGC.
Yes.
Can you guys talk about the gas prices?
Yes. Let's talk about gas prices now.
So has they increased it again?
Yes.
To what?
To 8,000 per litre or so. From 6,000 to 8,000 per litre. Yeah, and let's talk about the toll road.
Now, in terms of the gas prices, APC was the one that created the problem in the first place. Now, what APC did was that they allegedly claim that they were subsidizing the fuel. Yes, to some extent they were subsidizing the fuel. But because they subjected the nation into so many debt, our debt ratio increased to a point that other agencies like IMF and World Bank were very wary about giving them additional debt. They went and took another $200 and something million loan.
I support you in that, right? Because Kaba left the government debt-free, right?
Well, they are now claiming that they inherited 700 million.
No, Kaba left the government debt-free. I still have an excerpt of
foreign debt-free, maybe
foreign debt,
local domestic debt.
Yes,
probably domestic debt was 700 million. That is what.
And that is what.
Compared to 3.7 billion now, you know. But in any case, I think it is a mistake for these governments to increase the price of fuel by lifting subsidy. They could have found other ways to fight that for raising revenue,
right?
Rather than imposing that on the people.
And let me tell you, now this current government has increased the salary of giving 24.6 billion loans to increase the salary of civil servants, right? Yes, and they are saying that is a way of fighting the increase in the price of petroleum products. But my question is, You are giving 24.6 billion leones to civil servants. The Van Boy in the village, right? Does he know about that? The Van Boy does he know about IMF? Because when the price of petrol goes up, the price of basic needs, basic amenities, they do go up as well.
Everything
and that
goes
affects, right, even the Van Boy or the
poor
farmer.
one. So I don't see the economics in
Yes,
that. I
yes.
don't see the logical.
So why are you going to give
economics in
somebody 26.4 billion to civil servants? That's just like an elite group, right? What about the people out there? Is that feasible? Is that sensible?
that? No, it's not. It's not economically sound.
Right. It's so
I
cosmetic.
understand that the only aspect of the economics that I think will have made sense if they argue that they want to reduce government expenditure. And if you want to reduce government expenditure, you cannot claim that you are lifting subsidies by reducing government expenditure and then increasing it by increasing salaries. You might as well leave the subsidies there,
Right.
because you've not made any serious
Significant difference, right?
But what I think should have happened is that they should have created a system. That was the time I made a video some years back when the first increase was implemented, wherein I recommended that the fuel should be there should be a quota system of the fuel given out to private individuals and public transportation. In other words, there should be a different price for public transportation, for those running buses, trucks, cars, taxis, pudas, and stuff like that. They should have a special, like a government slip that they give them based on the capacity of the vehicle that they're using. But I know corruption will be also creep into that.
That is rationing.
But I know you ration the fuel. So if you increase it to 8,000,
we have gone through that.
No. You're not rationing it nationwide. What I'm saying is the fuel price will be 8,000 nationwide, but you get a special quota that is strictly for public transport.
People are going to make money out of that.
Fine. But the point is, guess what? If you are running a cab and they said the price of the cab per person is such and such per person, and government says to help you so that you maintain that price, we're going to give you 1,000 liters a month to help you out that you buy at 6,000. And now you take that and go sell it 8,000 to somebody else. You want to go make money on the street by increasing the price, they will lock you up, because that price that government has imposed for that transportation from one point to the other, you have to maintain it. Either you go out of business. So I don't see how logical it will be for somebody to sell the fuel and go out of business because they cannot increase the price. So I understand that it could be a challenge, but believe me, if I'm in power, I can enforce it. If I'm the Minister of Transport, I will be able to enforce that.
If Ghana, remember when Ghana was in the doldrums, right? You understand? Yes. I remember when there were stories that people stood in line for toothpaste or whatever, right? Now look at Ghana. Ghana has become a model.
Good. I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm glad you mentioned that. You know why? Because it took the likes of Jerry Rawlings, who was not leading a democratic government, to lay the foundation upon which Ghana has risen from.
So that means NPRC had opportunity to do that.
NPRC, NPRC. Oh man, I used to like NPRC.
Right.
I used to like NPRC.
Our president.
I remember I was one of those who led youth.
Our present brigadier
to intimidate. Yes, I was one of those who led the youth in Wilkinson Road. I was young at that time.
Yeah,
to intimidate the SSDs. The SSDs we allowed. We said, "Tell una come on, I would run pauna." So we got groups who were getting them. So the SSDs they were afraid to challenge the NPRC. Guys. So the NPRC came. So we supported them both sides.
So what
happened? They disappointed us.
What I'm trying to say is, our present president was part of the NPRC.
Yes.
And he became,
we know that.
He became head of the NPRC.
We know that.
And he had the opportunity to at least do what Rawlings did.
We know that.
And he did not.
He did not.
So why do you think he will this time?
We cannot change what is happening right now. There's nothing we can do. So all we have to do is to keep an eye on them and see that they do what is right. Of course, we have our reservations, we have our doubts, because as you say, there are two clouds. One, he was part of a dictatorial government. Two, he had a criminal record against him, or at least allegedly had some, corruption charges against him.
And he has a problem with America here.
And then you have some other people within his government that has shady background. I understand all of that. But now that they are taking the right step, does not mean that we should cry them down. We should not support them.
And I hope that will be sustained.
Yes, we're going to try hope that they sustain that, because this corruption business here with the Fetama, this why This is most fetam.
You know why?
Yes.
Because nobody wake you in the morning from Sierra Leone asking for money.
Exactly.
They picking not get money for good
Exactly.
school. Yeah. So you
the number of money they would send another country.
So much.
You said the estimate. In fact, down the way can cry down the diaspora.
And they tell us we are not supposed to
talk to them.
We're not supposed to. Yeah.
Let's talk to them. Creole.
Tell them.
Under World Bank estimate, we Sierra Leoneans, they send an average of almost $250 to $300 million a year into Sierra Leone. What would they give no more for pay school fees, for help this one year? Would I get bad day today? Would I want to go buy this? Would I want to go pay rent? Would I want to go do business? Them money then they. Now they help for sustain the economy. So the whole already when I begin cry down the aspirants. But don't blame the people though.
Yes,
that is the Skroma government. And the Skroma government, they just hate the aspirants.
No, but
then create a network where just they barrage the aspirants. When they want to give barrage for a bad name, they go and nitpick all them corrupt APC bobo na England and America.
Right.
They say that the aspirant can't get it. Say go thief you know. When then thief see them, then the aspirant no can't thief. Then give you all bad name. Now me can tell them say hey, the aspirant day. There are differences. You get one them when a bootlickers in them,
right?
Where they don't know a beef from a bull's foot. Where the only reason why they give their appointment are because then are bootlickers to a political party. Now make them give them not be say them fit for running anything day. So when then thief not call we as part of them.
I can tell them. I said it is not one size fits all. Diaspora, we all they are all mandate by AO level.
Exactly.
Yes. So you see, you're not going to use
one
so
person. If there is another question, no question. I'm just check your link. If there is no question, then let's hold it for now.
Yeah, let's wrap up.
Okay.
What
Thank
time
you.
is it now?
It's 7 o'clock. Past 7 o'clock.
7:07.
7:07. Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, at least
thank you for listening. Thank you for watching.
Thank you all for listening and watching, and thank you for all the questions that you were able to pose, and we might find some other time
to,
maybe sometime next week. We'll let you guys know. We'll inform you guys, give you guys a heads up, and we'll talk about another topic. Maybe we'll talk about the mining industry.
Right, that's very important.
Yes, the mining industry. In our next discussion, we might delve into the mining industry. But this corruption stuff, of course, next week we're going to give you guys news updates about things that happen within the country and outside the country that relate to Sierra Leone, and also we're going to give news updates about the corruption fight before we go to any other topic. Okay? Without much ado, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for giving us your audience. And he didn't do what